The police treading carefully on effecting former President Jacob Zuma's arrest. In fact, they've written to the Constitutional Court now, asking if they could not be allowed to act on that order pending the outcome of the latest litigation challenging the Apex Court ruling. You remember the court last week imposing a 15-month sentence on Zuma for his defiance of an order to testify before the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. Now, the High Court in Pietermaritzburg will this morning hear Zuma's urgent application to have his warrant of arrest stayed. What does all of this mean? Let's bring in our politics editor, Sbu Ngalwa, who joins us now via our video link. And Sbu, perhaps that is the big question, right? What happens now?
Well, Ayanda, we know that today is the day where the Pietermaritzburg High Court is to hear the application by the former president for the court, where he's asking the court to actually delay his pending arrest. So overnight, we know that the State Capture Commission filed its papers over the past few days, challenging, in fact, opposing that very application by the former president. And they make very valid arguments, Ayanda. The first one being the one that has had a lot of legal practitioners and legal experts conflicted as to whether they can actually, this court can stay that pending arrest. But the Zondo Commission actually makes a good point and says that Section 173 of the Constitution does not allow for that, because that section is clear in its stipulation that each of the divisions, that is the High Court, the Supreme Court, and the Constitutional Court, have a right to regulate their own processes. Now, the sentencing of the president, if you take that interpretation, is actually a process of the Constitutional Court. And also they do say that they have about 4 reasons why they are saying that that process must fail. Now, if, for argument's sake, the Pietermaritzburg High Court were to say that no, they do not have the jurisdiction to hear the case and struck it off the roll, what effectively that would have meant? It would have meant that Bheki Cele, the police and the commissioner have until midnight tomorrow, which is Wednesday, to arrest the former president. But what the police minister has done is actually he has thrown this hot potato back into the hands of the acting Chief Justice. And who is the acting Chief Justice? That is the very same Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, who is the main complainant on this issue. So what Bheki Cele is effectively saying, Ayanda, is that because there are these 2 litigation processes, one, the matter that will be heard in the Pietermaritzburg High Court today, and the application for the rescission of the sentence that will be heard by the Constitutional Court on Monday, he is asking that they be allowed to put the pending arrest in abeyance until such time that such a process is concluded, or if the acting Chief Justice directs him to do so. Now, I'm not a legal expert. Yes, this may be a legal argument by Bheki Cele, but we do know that this is also political. How I see it is that it's a Bheki Cele saying that if, for instance, Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, who's now the acting Chief Justice, says the law is blind, as the Constitutional Court said, if you remember that ruling, where the opening by Judge Mbembe saying that the law must be impervious to outside influence. If he says that, then Bheki Cele will turn around and say, look, I did not want to arrest the guy before these processes were exhausted, but I've been told by the Constitutional Court. But what does that also do? It puts Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo in a very difficult situation, because it feeds into the narrative that he has got a vendetta against the former president. It is really an unprecedented time, and also quite a unique legal situation, Ayanda.
Let's make sure that everyone is following what's actually happening here, Sbu. So, overnight, the police minister writing a letter to the Constitutional Court saying, guys, there's litigation taking place, and I would like to get permission from you not to arrest the former president until that litigation is actually done. You and I know that the last leg of this litigation is actually on Monday, and by then, the 3-day deadline, if you like, for the police minister would have passed. That's actually what's taking place, right?
Effectively, Ayanda, that's exactly what he is saying. But someone who reads the law, frankly, as it is written, would argue that there is no confusion here. For the simple, the Constitutional Court says, if the former president fails to submit himself to the police by the end of Sunday, then the police, then the police have until tomorrow to arrest him. So someone might argue and say, no, but why would they do that if he is still as another process? And lawyers have said that it's not unusual for someone who is in jail to appeal their sentence, Ayanda. So it is I guess, for law students and also those who are interested in the law and in following legal precedents, it is quite an interesting case, which I'm sure will form legal textbooks going forward. But the interesting thing now is that whatever happens today at court, whether that court grants the application by the former president or rejects it, now there is this big question mark as to what will be the next move of the Constitutional Court, what will be the next move of the acting Chief Justice. Because remember, in their notice, Ayanda, where they allowed the former president, where they agreed to hear his application on the 12th, that notice says nothing about their putting their judgment in abeyance. It says nothing about that. They're just saying they will hear his argument, which effectively means, as far as they're concerned, that process, his sentence and the deadlines thereof are applicable.
Sure. Sbu Ngalwa, let me thank you for your time for now. Thanks very much indeed for helping us place this latest development. For many people, we would have thought that after the High Court in Pietermaritzburg today gives their ruling, we're in some kind of, call it, less murky ground. But this letter now by the police minister perhaps puts us right back there because of the requests they're making. Sbu Ngalwa, thanks very much indeed.